What's going on, world? It's your boy Tito P. This is Nerds Rule the World presents the Nerds After Dark show. After Dark Nerds. You know, we're starting it back up. I haven't done adult conversations in a minute, but we're now on episode 4 of this brand new series. We're getting back into it because I got nothing but love for my cats in the adult industry. It's where I started before I got into quote unquote the mainstream side. But to me, the adult side is still mainstream because we're all fucking. It's all love out here. We know this. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. And I'm super excited to have the first brother on the Nerds After Dark show, the first male representing talent to come through, and he's a CEO. He's the man behind Dirty Cinema. He writes, he directs, he owns Dirty Cinema. Let me bring him up on the screen. I'm gonna remove my pic because you don't want to see me. You want to see the man. There he is, right there. There is Peter King in the building. Peter, I'm shooting off air horns. It's in post right now, so I don't deafen you because we celebrate our people up here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. What's up with you?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming through. As you kind of heard in my intro, I kind of just go off because I get excited, man.
Sure.
I actually started in the adult game. I'm a filmmaker by trade, and then I started doing other work and acting and all of that. But I always had I started dabbling back out of it because I got more into the mainstream stuff. But I always got love for my peoples in this business because just the realest ones, and I'm sure you know, are in the adult game, man. And I appreciate y'all. So thank you for coming through. So I kind of want to start off with the kind of question that I got. I'm sure you got as well, as men, as homies. They're like, hey, brother, how you get into the adult game, man? How can I slide up in there and have some fun with these ladies or whatever? But I always tell them it is not as easy as you think, sir. Can we start there? Can we start when you decided? I saw that you were a teacher. You dabbled in the music industry. I don't know if you still dabble a little bit, and now you running your own company. Where did this whole thing start? Were you? Let's bring it back a little bit more. When would you were peeping even a thought as a youngster, as a teen or whatever about the adult business? Did you steal your dad's tape? When did you first see a dirty tape or something?
Oh man, I mean, it's one of those things where, I'm 31 years old, so I come from the point in time where adult content was super accessible everywhere. But I think it still even went back to, because I'm from New York, so I originally grew up there. And if you know anything about New York, every corner there's a bodega, there's a little spot where you go to get, little snacks, little drinks, whatever. And a lot of them at that time, early 2000s, they had a section in the back where they had a wall and there was a little wooden barrier between that. And you could just see the tops of these magazines sticking out. And they had names like Hustler and Playboy and that sort of deal. And I remember sneaking back there. It was on a Sunday. It was right after church. We stopped in, get some sodas or whatnot, and I seen these magazines. So I reach over and I pick one up, and I see titties, and I go, I've never seen something like that before. And that was the first experience that I remember that I recall having of being exposed to that type of content. And then obviously, as time goes on, it becomes more and more accessible. My household was not a computer household straight away. There was some years before things like the internet were put into my home. And once that became a thing, you get exposed to it that way. And I feel like everybody, the first time they view adult material, the first time they see adult content, they have that thought in their mind where it's I could do that. Or I want to do that. Damn, look at that lucky motherfucker. Why can't I be like him? I feel like that's a passing thought at the very least with everybody who's a viewer of that type of content. Because, that just means that we're doing our jobs correctly. We're selling this fantasy. And part of the fantasy has to be some kind of attainability that
Mm-hmm.
comes along with it. So if you put something in a scenario where it's like, oh, that can never be me, shit, you lose people when that happens. But when it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, like I could do that, then suddenly you have people who want to consume it more and more frequently. But for the longest time, that was just a passing thought until I reached a period of time where I uh, met somebody and she had expressed interest in filming us having sex. And, I thought the idea was hot. I was on board with it. We did it. And afterwards, I said, hey, can I put this out online, like on Pornhub or something? And she was just like, yeah, fuck it. Why not? Do that. And this one little poorly recorded, holding the phone sex tape ends up doing like 300,000 views
Nice.
on Pornhub. And the thought in my mind was at the time was just like, well, shit. If I would have monetized this and if I would have found a way to make money off this, that would have been some decent little pocket change. So that was how everything evolved
Wow.
from that.
Congrats, man. Crazy. So okay, so you and your your girlfriend at the time or whatever, the young lady that you did that with, were there any thoughts though to put it on wax? It was just straight comfort. Were there any apprehension on your side at all? Because like
I
everybody,
mean,
because like it's one thing I think we think it with like women, but as dudes, man, they gonna see my dick unless, well, brother, you packing. I already seen the shit, which is crazy to say, right? But you know how like that's like the one thing as fellas, like man, I don't know, like did any of that go through your head? What was all like those initial early like vibes?
for me, it was just like it's definitely not a big deal for me because one, I was shooting it holding my phone POV. So like
Uh,
even
yeah.
that thought that a lot of people have of like, oh, I don't want my face, like that wasn't even an issue for me at that time. And then just the whole idea of like, uh, I mean, you said it yourself. I ain't going I ain't going to repeat it, but it's just I got nothing to be ashamed about. I got nothing to be worried about. I'm good. Like we don't gotta. People who are familiar with me, people who have seen me before, it's like they know that I'm not gonna be self conscious about anything in that department. So that was not really something that I had become concerned with. And then even like later on, just the idea of when I was moving away from POV, when I was like having directors, having people film me and all that, the idea of like, oh, people might see my face. I didn't give a fuck because ultimately, at the end of the day, this is what eventually became my career. And not to get too deep in the weeds too early on, but when we're having conversations about content creators and people who are just in the space, but they're not willing to show their face, they have to wear a mask, they have to do all this. I'm a very go all in or stay outside type of person.
Let's go.
And I can't eat that. Like I can't just look at someone who's just like, oh yeah, like I'll do all the porno shit, but I won't take any of the risk. And to me, when I'm personally having sex, you know what I like looking at? I like looking at a beautiful woman. I like looking at a pretty girl and I like seeing a beautiful woman's face. And I think when you're trying to do the whole, oh no, my identity is hidden, you take away from a lot of the viewing experience when you do that. And I also just think that it's not the proper way to go about things. So I never really had that thought of, oh, I gotta wear a mask or I gotta do this or I gotta do that. It's like, no, like I'm putting myself out there. Let me actually put myself all the way out there type shit.
Word, word. So we we push forward. We're now doing it right, and like you said, you're working with directors. So now it's really becoming it's there's and I'm sure you would agree. There's a difference. POV, you're filming it yourself, but now taking direction, being on a set with other people, and all of that. That's a whole different thing. Be just being in your bedroom filming you and your girl or whatever. So
Right.
can we talk about that transition where it then becomes work? Because man, like you, it's some long hours on a set, getting angles. It's
Yeah.
crazy. That's why I say y'all. not everybody's up for this shit, and I'm sure you know. Can you tell me like that transition?
I mean, for me, it was a matter of figuring out what was really going to allow me to be able to do that. Because there are some guys out there who they just show up, no nothing, hard dick, ready to go. Blessings upon you, I cannot do it. So I just kind of need to figure out, like, okay, what should I be doing to prepare myself? And Viagra, that's just kind of the go-to. Sometimes an injection is needed. You gotta, and that's where a lot of guys fall at the first hurdle, where they let their pride and their ego kind of get in the way, and they say, "Oh, I don't need a pill. I'm good without it. I'll put a needle in my dick. I ain't never gonna do that." Well, then you're never gonna be shit. Sorry. Like, you can't expect to walk on a set where they demand a lot of stop and start, a lot of direction. You have a large crew, and you're going to be going for 7, 8, 10 hours straight. And you can't just be like, "Oh, well, I'm all natural. Like, I'll be good." You probably won't be. Like, you have to be willing to, use these enhancements and use these supplements in order to perform at the highest of high levels. And it just, it makes everybody's day easier, makes everybody's life easier. And that's what I learned about directors. Like, as a director myself and as someone who has worked for other directors, they don't want to be there all day. Nobody wants to be at work all day. I don't give a fuck how fun your job is, how much you love it. You don't want to be putting in overtime when you don't have to. So as a male talent, it's your job to do the scene and to do it in the fastest, most efficient, but best way possible. So that way everyone gets the footage they need. Everyone could just roll how they got to roll, and then everybody could go home on time. That's your job.
Straight up, literally, straight up. All right, so we made the move from New York to LA. I know the obvious reasons, a lot more business out there on the West Coast. But what was that transition like, and why for you? Because of the business?
100%. So I don't live in LA. I live in Vegas.
Okay, word. But West Coast.
West Coast, close enough. I could be in LA 3 hours, 3.5 hours if need be. Not a big deal. And 100% for the sake of the business. When I was living in New York is a very expensive, packed in, uncooperative ass city. And you could have a lot of people who are very fiercely competing with each other. We were having issues of producers going around talking to other producers saying, "Oh, you should just be working for me. Don't work for nobody else." And that was like a common enough issue where, we would shoot somebody and then never hear from them again because somebody else is like, no, come over here on this side. We beefing with them. Fuck them. Just come over here. And it didn't make any type of sense to me because I was always somebody who was like, "Yo, there's enough for us where we could all sit at the table and eat together. Like, we don't have to be on this, fuck you type shit." But New York was just a very uncooperative place, and people did not want to move that way. People move very selfishly. The talent selection is very bad, on both sides. And it came to the point where I found myself going to LA, Miami, Vegas for like every other month for 2-3 weeks at a time. And after you do that for a solid year, you just look at the numbers and you go, "Well, this don't make any sense."
Right.
I'm out here paying for hotels, paying for locations. I have to get local directors. I have to do all this shit. Why don't I just go out there? And now since I've been out here, it's been about 1.5 years since I've been out here, and everything is just running a lot smoother. I'm working way more with talent agencies. People show up on time. They show up tested. They show up ready to work. They're happy to be here. Everything is negotiated beforehand in terms of what everybody's getting paid and what everybody's expected to do. I mean, it's really a no-brainer.
Dope. Exactly. All right, so we jumped into the game. We're repping in New York. We decided let's make it take it even higher. Head out to the West Coast, Las Vegas. Is that when Dirty Cinema started, or did Dirty have it start in New York?
So Dirty Cinema started. I used to go by Peter King Productions, and for the longest time, that was what the brand was. But then when I started traveling and I started expanding more and shooting in Miami and Vegas and LA, I realized that I have access to a lot of male talent. So with that, it was like, all right, well, I'm gonna get these other guys to perform on a much higher level. And when I started shooting them a lot more, and I wasn't the primary talent, I realized, well, this brand, this company isn't about me anymore. And I don't necessarily want it to be about me anymore. I'm a cog, I'm a part of it. I dictate a lot of stuff, but I have an editor, I have an artist, I have a director, I have other people, a scriptwriter who are working constantly in order to make the company what it is. And I perform a lot for it, but I'm not the only guy that's being used. So I decided that a name change was in order. This is probably around like 2022. I was still in New York at the time. And I was like, all right, well, what could it be? And cinema, Dirty Cinema, just kind of fit because I like very high quality cinematic style shooting. But at the same time, I'm not up my own ass. I'm not Martin Scorsese. Like, I know at the end of the day, I'm still peddling smut. So it's cinema, but it's dirty cinema.
I dig it. I like the title, brother. As you see, I got a rep for you. Got a rep for you.
Appreciate
So,
you.
of course. So, with that being said, you bringing on these other cats that you're, like you said, you got editors, you got this whole team. What knowledge did you have precursor to that? So, like, does this go back from when you were an educator, or working in the industry? Like, where did that knowledge and that mindset come from?
I mean, anybody, if you ask anybody who was in the music industry, especially as like an independent artist, for any period of time, who then transitioned into doing porn, if there's any similarities, they'll basically tell you there's no fucking difference. It's damn near the same shit. Especially as an independent, you're out there hustling, putting your records out. There's really no difference between the independent distribution that I was doing for my music versus what I'm doing now for porn. Porn just happened to be way more successful. So a lot of the business acumen that I gained from working in the music industry did transition over into how I approached selling porn. And porn is a lot easier to sell. That's the thing. So if you're able to successfully sell music, you could absolutely sell the fuck out of some porn. And when you're working on, I'll say the technical level, when you're in the studio and you're perfecting audio, it's not a big leap to go from audio to video. Around the time that I was most active, Pro Tools had just released a version with a video engine. So you could edit video in real time there too. And I had a lot of experience, a lot of practice with that. So a lot of the things that people will look at in an editing program, compression, EQ, that sort of stuff, they'll look at it and just be like, what the hell is that? I don't know what that means. But I already come from a background where I knew all about that inside and out. So it was not much of a transition from me in the studio getting a good, solid audio recording to now moving on to set and getting a good video recording as well.
Definitely. I dig that. Man, it's crazy when you're a younger cat than I am. I'm an older headed man. I was grinding out here in these streets, brother. It's been a minute learning everything. So I love that. And I just love how it's so accessible now for more cats that are creatives to get out here. It's man, I think y'all just got it made out here. But I know it's still a lot of work. Y'all are putting in work, even though I'm an old head, but like, damn, like it's just so beautiful that you guys can like really create now. And I love it for you and everybody out here that are trying to create content. Also want to show you love when I was peeping the site. Some of the other cats that you've worked with that are part of the Dirty Cinema team, Nade Nasty and Jupiter Jetson. I've interviewed them both when I was doing these conversations deep like a year ago. This is like my return, brother. So you're part of my return to salute my people in the game. So salute to Nade and Jupiter. I want to talk about some of the specialized stuff that you do with Dirty. that I think are just a lot of people are into. You got Peter's Kingdom. Man, where's the other list? Perverted POV, Raw White Meat, which is a hilarious title, sir. Can you tell me about doing kind of like this direct specialized content? I'm sure like you know as artists we're figuring out what people want to get into and we're kind of vibing to the culture.
Oh, for sure. So, a lot of the reason why I have so many specific sites broken down is because I have so much content. And I like having a different site for somebody to go to depending on what their niche is. You know, Peter's Kingdom, that's like a casting couch type of deal, where it's like, you know, who's new, who's coming up in the game right now, who do people want to see? So I showcase those type of performers there on Peter's Kingdom. Passions Only, that is more geared towards like romantic, sensual, soft style that a lot of companies do not do. It's all just like gonzo, like hard as fuck, like go crazy. Not everybody's into that. You know, there's a lot of people who are into the more uh the side where people can display the chemistry that they have more than just like, okay, well, how hard can you fuck? Raw White Meat, that is a interracial site, but it's an interracial site in a different sense. You know, I'm showcasing women of color on that site. The male talent are white, and then the female performers are women of color. And the reason why I really specialize with that, it was because like nobody else is really doing that. Nobody's really going out of their way and saying like, "Hey, these are the great women of color in the industry. Let's give them a platform. Let's give them a place where they could do some really nice hardcore Gonzo style scenes that, for whatever reason, people outside of this are not really giving them." Sluts Around Town is more kind of like a role play sort of site. Perverted POV is the same thing where we write scenarios and situations, role play, and then get into it from there. And Milfucked is very similar, except I put a lot into production value for Milfucked. We do voiceover work, we do a lot of different locations, a lot of different scenarios, and it's all centered on MILFs. But I want it to be a lot more realistic, a lot more from the standpoint of what may actually happen. A lot of those scripts that I write for that are based on actual experiences that I've had. And it's all right, well, let's have a site that caters to MILFs without the step stuff, without the fake incest and all that shit. Because to me, as a creative, that's getting boring. That's getting tired. You know, I get that it still sells to an extent, but I would rather have some more creative avenues and opportunities rather than just pigeonhole everything into like, well, no, obviously that's good. That has to be your son.
Yeah, I dig that. I dig that. I appreciate that, bro. That sounds dope. That's how that focus is. That's real cool, man. So of the, I hate to make you like it's like because these are all like your babies, right? Like when you're like production, you know, pre-pro, you're looking at your schedule. I got this type this day, this type this day. Is there a particular one like you kind of really look forward to in a way? I know they're all your babies, but if you had to choose, is
For
there like
sure.
a
So,
category genre that you like really have fun with doing?
I
Shooting?
mean, I love dirty cinema, particularly like the dirtycinema.com brand, because those are the features. Those are the ones where we're going to be on set for 15 hours, 16 hours, and we're just shooting a full movie. We have 10 pages of dialogue, we have special effects, like we have a lot going on those days. And those are just like so creatively fulfilling. I don't get to do them very much because, you know, budget limitations and everything. But when I do get to do them, I always love the way they come out. I love how involved that process is in creating those. And then Milfucked is probably right underneath that because it's a version of that that's a little more manageable. You know, we're only shooting for like maybe 4 or 5 hours, but we get to go into the booth and do voiceovers. We get to get a bunch of different shots from a bunch of different angles. We have a cool little script and a concept that we're going off of. And I'm pretty much always a director for that. So that's just the day where it's like I get to be kind of the most hands-on creatively. So
Dope. I
That's
can
my
feel
pick.
that. When once you said it earlier, I was like, that's probably going to be the genre because of that creativity. Because you seem like a very artist cat, with all of that. So, dope, dope, dope. So, what can we look forward to with Dirty Cinema right now? What are some of the upcoming projects? I see you have a paranormal feature with Cleo Moon. Some other horny hot wife double teamed on Milfucks. What are some things we want to highlight real quick that people can look forward to that you got coming out soon?
Yeah, I mean that the Paranormal Activity parody feature. It's called Sexual Activity. Love that movie. Cleo just knocked it out
Paranormal
of the
activity,
fucking.
sexual act. It's clicking now.
Yeah, so Cleo fucking knocked it out of the park with that. Phenomenal actress, phenomenal performer. And I love horror. That is like my go-to genre. And there are some parts of that where it's genuinely like, oh, that's kind of fucking creepy. I like that. So that is out right now on dirtycinema.com. All episodes out right now, available for viewing, streaming, all that. So love that. And then everything else, I drop on every other site twice a month.
Dope.
So there's something for everybody. If anything that I mentioned for any of those sites sounds appealing to you, we have a backlog, a couple hundred videos. One sign up gets you access to everything, and we got new content coming twice a month on every site, whether that be anal, which is the horny hot wife one, that great scene, Alexis James, Pierce Paris, Tony Sting, a great anal scene. Good acting, good performances all around. And then, Gonzo, if that's more your thing, Peter's Kingdom, Raw White Meat, those are Gonzo sites. And then everything else is just kind of like a mixture in between, depending on, what your taste may be.
There you go. My man Peter King has everything you want to get down with. I'm gonna have what acceptable links YouTube will let me put down. It'll probably be the link tree or whatever, so you can get all of the hookups because I don't want YouTube blocking me on this stuff anymore. So please go show love to my man Peter King. Peter, since we got some of the business out of the way, this is Nerds After Dark, brother, where I'm talking to my nerds in the adult business. I think you're a bona fide nerd. You were in the music game. You were talking about you're into horror, and we wear our nerd cards with pride, brother. Nerds is something different now in 2025. I would say I'm proud to be a nerd. You know what I'm saying? Can we talk about some of the nerd shit you into a little bit?
Go nuts.
So you're into horror, man. Let's talk about some of the. Well, actually, or we can go. I want to go with horror, but also just what is some of the nerdy shit you into, man? Like you were into music at one time. What kind of music? I want to know all the things. I want to get to know Peter King.
All right, so music wise, what I was making, I was doing hip hop. I was doing very New York style underground hip hop, and I was doing that for years and years. And I was always a very like layered writer, a complex writer, and you want to talk about nerdy shit, very verbose, very flexing the vocabulary a lot, flexing internal rhyme schemes a lot, doing that sort of stuff. And that was really kind of my bread and butter for a long time. I was just so heavily focused on that. And then when I stopped writing and performing as much, and then got into the technical side of things, and that's some nerd shit right there. When
That
you're sitting
is
down in the studio and you have a whole console in front of you, and it's like, yeah, can you patch the LA2A into channel one and just kind of use that as a leveling amp to bump that up a little bit? Like, to 90% of the population, are like, what the fuck does that mean? But the people who get it, they're just like, yo,
right.
you do audio. So, yeah, like learning that very technical, very niche sort of skill set.
You still rhyme?
For,
You still write a little bit? Free-
I mean, from time to time, it's one of those things where it's like, should the mood strike me? It's
Word.
like, that was cool. Let me just like write that down somewhere. But in terms of performing again, I don't know. Like I got a couple people out here in Vegas who they write, they do a couple of songs every now and then. I'm just like, send me a beat. Send me a beat. Let me see what my old ass can do. Let me see what a 31-year-old man
Yeah.
has to fucking rap about. So
Let's go.
we'll see.
Okay. So outside of the music, what are some of the other influences that you just vibe to get your mind right, to have fun with? What entertains you? We spoke on horror. So are you like a slasher, terrifier, gore cat, or are you like a supernatural, conjuring Annabelle type cat, Megan joint? What are some of the horror? What actually give me like your top five horror, well, top five that come to mind, horror joints.
Top five that come to mind. So I will say, a lot of the modern stuff, a lot of the what you would mention, like The Conjuring and Insidious and that sort of thing. I just find that to be pure slop. Like I cannot get into that at all. It's just so like set up punchline filler, PG-13 filler, like, and I just cannot rock with that. Terrifier though, I do quite enjoy that. It's a fun time. I mean, there's so many things that I could draw from. I love Cthulhu stuff. I love Cthulhu stuff. Dagon from the movie from the year 2000, such like a very low budget kind of slapped together movie, but I adore it. Evil Dead 2, the writing is so on point. The comedy is kind of mixed in there masterfully with the gore and the over the top violence aspects of it. Um, so a movie like Jaws, I think Jaws is one of the best fucking movies of all
Bro, and we're
time.
celebrating 50 of Jaws right now. It's crazy. 50 years of
I
Jaws, man.
know. 50 years, and you know what? Every year, 4th of July weekend, you still watch it. You still watch it because that son of a bitch holds up.
Yeah.
Um, Great, and that I consider that to a lot of people that is a horror movie because there are people who see that when they're a kid and they're like, I'm never going in the ocean.
Real talk. I feel that.
And then just I don't know that there's like so many things from like the 80s. I think the 80s is like just one of the best eras of film in general, just period.
Yeah.
Uh but a lot of the Cronenberg stuff, Videodrome, The Fly, something like They Live, which has a lot of social commentary.
Yeah.
Um yeah, there's just like I was one of those people who would spend days just
Word.
like watching movies from all over, Italian movies, the
Oh
Lucio
yeah. The
Fulci
Italian horror
movies,
joints especially were crazy.
hmm
Yeah.
stuff like Zombie, stuff like Cannibal Holocaust, Green Inferno, uh,
Mhm.
Della Morte Della More. Like there are just so many phenomenal films from all around the world. And just this past year, the Nosferatu remake, Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers is probably my favorite modern director. He has not missed a single time since he started coming out with his movies, and I'm a huge fan of stuff like that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I actually got to talk to Willem Dafoe and Nicholas Hoult during the Nosferatu junkets, man. Crazy to talk to those two. They're like, Defoe's a legend and Holt's starting to build his game up hard. He's a bad brother too. With that being said, I want to kind of bridge, okay, these things we love in regards to like the pulp culture stuff and horror to you run dirty cinema. A lot of the adult game are now kind of doing some crossover parodies type stuff. Is that maybe something you're interested in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I found out that the original Paranormal Activity was made on a budget of $15,000, I was like, hold on, I have $15,000, and I made Sexual Activity on a similar budget, and it mirrors that film in a very obvious way. And that really, I think, opened the door for other stuff I want to do. I want to do something that's
Was this, I'm
inspiring.
sorry, was this the first time you've done a parody style with sexual
Yeah.
activity?
Yes,
Word.
yes, yes. That was the first time where I was taking heavy inspiration from another property, another script. Um, I'm working on other stuff though. I'm working on a vampire film at the moment, which has been written and hopefully will be shot sometime in September, hopefully
Dope.
early September. And there's inspiration from everything in there: Fright Night, uh, Dracula, Nosferatu, like the really culturally impactful vampire media. I'm working on Cthulhu stuff. I'm working on, like, I just love the medium so much. Of I'm drawing a lot of inspiration. I don't know if and when I'll go back to do another full on like parody or interpretation of something. But if I sit down and I watch something and it inspires me in just that certain type of way, then I think I will. But nothing immediately. Oh, there's one thing I'm considering doing a parody of the 1999 Cronenberg film Existence. Very under the radar, not one of his most well known movies, but watching it. And a friend of mine wants to work on it with me, and she brought up the idea, and it's just like, yeah, sure, why not? So
Oh,
a lot of stuff like that.
nice. I like when we can blend kind of like the worlds of our regular work that we doing, getting that money, but also, some passions that we enjoy to blend that, man. We have that luxury, that blessing. So that's dope. I'm gonna look. So you said you're gonna do a vampire joint starting in September? Is when you
Yeah, I mean, if all goes well, I'm still kind of locking down my extras, my actors, my director, like all that. But if all goes well, that's something that I hope to have out by like Halloween season.
Dope, man. When that comes through, we got to come back and talk. Well, even before that, man, it's been a delight having this conversation with you, Peter, man. I want to
Absolutely, man.
spotlight my cats out here doing it and doing it well. Again, I love vibing because as creatives, we get energized talking to our fellow creators, right? It's like an energy exchange. So I appreciate you giving me that vibe right now, bro. And just that gusto to just go at it, go hard, literally to make what you want to have happen. So pleasure talking to you, sir. Let's close this out with we talked a lot of different things nerdy. We talked a lot about dirty cinema. We're repping you official. We're gonna have your links in the description. Let's close out with outside of what we spoke of, what is something else that you are super nerdy about that people don't really know that is kind of under wraps? And it don't got to be the traditional nerd sense. It's just something that you're really into that once you found out about it, you just really started diving and learning everything about it that you can because it just really piqued your interest.
I mean, this probably does fall under the classification of traditional nerdy shit. I know everything about Resident Evil and Silent Hill.
So you a gamer? Or more so the
Very,
movie side of things?
very rare. Oh, the games specifically. The movies
Okay.
I don't really give a fuck about, but the games
They
is
were
just
weak.
like, yeah, like I watched all of them and didn't really do it for me. But the games, like I've been a lifelong fan of both series, and I'm just like so heavily invested in like the lore and like everything for both of those, like
I
crazy.
dig that. The games are fire, and it's depressing that they never. It's so your story's there in the fucking game, but when they did these film adaptations, they fucked
They
them
can't
all up, bro.
adapt it for whatever reason. They just failed to adapt it, and I think a big part of that is because you can't replicate the feeling of like in the like especially in the original few Resident Evil games where you're going from room to room and you think you have a general idea of where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do. You're fighting off zombies and dogs and all that stuff, and then you reach a point where you realize you have two bullets left, and you got to get from one end of the police station to the other end of the police station, and there's a lot of zombies between here and there, and you just gotta figure it the fuck out, and you gotta get real good real quick. There's no way for a movie to replicate that feeling in a viewer the same way that a game could do as someone who's controlling that character and their actions.
Completely agree. Yeah, those games are straight fire, and you felt it, especially if you're late at night, everything the lights off, you just chilling, bro.
Hell
Real
yeah.
talk. I love it. Yo, Peter, man, a pleasure talking to you, dog. I feel like I know you because I was like looking at and doing my research. You know my homie Nix Linka. I saw her like on one of your posts. That's the homie right there. Had her on as well. Like we know our homies, so like we should be pals now, man. Whenever I see you, are you gonna be traveling, doing any shows, Exotica? AVN, XBiz, or you doing anything like
Yeah,
that?
man, you'll definitely catch me at AVN for sure because at this point that's right in my backyard. And then XBiz, that's in LA. I'm sure I could get out there for that, especially if fingers crossed I get a nomination for something. Yeah, I'll definitely make the trip, and I'm going to Urban X. I'm nominated out there, so it's just like, all right, fuck it, let me go take this little trip and see if I could come home with a trophy.
Let's go. I'm gonna wish you the best, brother, and I hope to see you out there in these streets, man, and chilling, and we can have some conversation. But come back through whenever you got that other joint, all the other things, man, so I can show you love, bro. But it's been a pleasure talking to you, dog.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me on, and I look forward to having another conversation with you.
My G. That is the one and only Peter King, the man behind Dirty Cinema. All of his links are in the description below. Show him love right after you're done, because we're done with the interview. Show my man some love. Go check it out. I'm Tito P, aka Kuya P, Nerds After Dark. That's another episode. My man Peter King. Let's go.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right, there's a cut.
Nerds After Dark.
It's just a great time to hang out, meet people. I mean, I've had sex with everybody here already, so it's kind of like
Not me.
Yeah, Nerds After Dark, coming soon.com. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not getting him beat up or me. Not doing it.
Yeah, we don't want to get in trouble.
No. But
I'm gonna do a 3, 2, 1 to help me with my edit. Bring it in, introduce myself, introduce you. Actually, let me pin myself because I'm gonna bring you on. Pin. And then we'll get right into the conversation, my brother.
All right, sounds good.
All right, let's go. Boom, recording. Here we go. In a 1, 2, 3.